Are you ready?
Aye. Kids.
We're the Scooby-Dudes. We're podcasting to you, reviewing all the mysteries. If you're a fan of Scooby-Doo, this podcast is for you. We're the Scooby-Dudes. Hello.
Hi.
Welcome to episode 2 of the Scooby-Dudes Review Podcast. My name is Tristan.
My name is Brad.
You can find us anywhere online. Links in bio. Disclaimer. You know how, like, when you send an email, you're like, hope this email finds you well?
Mm-hmm.
And then it's me sitting at home, like the sad Barbie meme, like, all disheveled.
Yeah.
Yeah, this podcast doesn't find us well.
Oh.
It's been a rough month. I hit my head at work the other day, and I might have a concussion. I've had a headache for 3 days. But we're here, and we're doing the podcast.
Yeah, we started watching it, and then we had to take a break.
Yeah, we started watching this a week ago, and then we had half an hour left, and I was about to fall asleep because, well, we'll get to that. No spoilers. But yeah, do you have any notes before? How was your week? How was your month?
My month was good. I did art fight. That was fun.
Yeah, talk more about that.
Yeah, so it's where you will make a character. It has to be like your own character, original one. And then you post it, or as many as you want, and then people can find your work. They'll make drawings of your characters, and then in return you can make drawings of their characters. So that's like the fight, and then the revenge or whatever is when you make artwork for them. And it's just a good way to practice art and drawing. Get back into it.
Because you've made some like really fun portfolio pieces.
Yeah, and then it's a good way to stop me from being chronically online shopping on eBay. Instead, I should spend my time making things instead of wasting money.
It's been fun though.
Yes.
That's so exciting. I like when you're drawing.
Thank you. I like drawing too. Gotta get back into it.
But yes, today we are back with episode 2. I had such great feedback from the first episode. Everyone seems to really enjoy it, so we're back for the second one. Everyone was wondering where the second episode was, and guys, it's a monthly podcast.
Yes.
While we're both working full-time, this has to be monthly. I don't know how people podcast once a week. Absolutely bananas, because, again, this has been hard to get done. Watching a movie and taking notes, I think, is really different than, like, sitting and absorbing, like, a movie. Because I can sit and watch 9 hours of a TV show on Netflix, but then when it comes to watching a 90-minute film and having to take notes, it feels like the longest experience I've ever felt.
Mm-hmm. Well, you're not sure, like, when to pause, or if you're in the middle of writing something down and something else comes up, you're like, oh, gotta run.
Yeah, well, this one was a mystery, so I found myself being like, okay, I don't need to write down every detail. A lot of it is filler, but I tried to write down, like, the clues. But yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Are you ready to get into this?
Yeah.
All right, welcome to episode 2, Scooby-Doo meets the Boo Brothers.
Yes.
Did you like it? Off the top, did you like this movie?
Yeah, it was fun. It is a lot better than the first one we saw, because this one actually has a mystery.
I agree, and we'll get into all that. It was refreshing. Mm-hmm. I will say that. And I will say, this is also, besides the Scooby-Doo live action, this is the first Scrappy movie that I've ever watched, and I have opinions that may be controversial because yeah, anyway. Okay. I'm on the wrong page of my notes. Alright, so yeah, this was a TV movie. Again, it wasn't released on VHS right away. It released in 1987, and it's an hour and 33 minutes long. So minus the credits, it's a cold, crisp 90 minutes, which is very on par for children's movies at the time.
Yeah.
Did you want to go over the synopsis? I wrote it down.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, you can read the synopsis. You read it last time as well.
This?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm reading the synopsis now. Okay, after the death of Shaggy's uncle, Beaureguard, he, Scooby, and Scrappy arrive at his uncle's plantation to collect their inheritance. But as soon as they arrive, they find it's haunted by the ghosts of a Confederate soldier, with his spook on their tails?
With his...
Spook?
With this spook on their tails.
Oh, with this spook on their tails. While they search for Shaggy's inheritance, they hire the help of the Boo Brothers, a trio of ex-ghost-exterminators, to help catch this nasty ghoul.
Yeah, so by textbook definition, that's what the movie's about. I wouldn't say that the Boo Brothers had absolutely anything to do with this movie.
No, they were a gag, and that was it.
It felt like a crossover, whereas like they were supposed to like they were the name they had to put on this movie to get it made. It's like when they put like with Meryl Streep for Mamma Mia 2, and she's in it for 30 seconds as a ghost. Like, literally.
I wonder if maybe they wanted the Boo Brothers to have like their own spin-off and never materialized.
Well, that's my question, and I did write this down because I grew up watching this movie. It was called Casper Meets Wendy, and it stars Hilary Duff. And I had it on VHS. It's from 1998. And in that movie, in Casper Meets Wendy, there are the Boo Brothers, but their names are Stinky, Fatso, and Stretch.
Yeah.
So my surprise when I was doing research for this movie, and these Boo Brothers are called Shriko, Frico, and Miko.
Yeah, I don't know. Was Casper made by Hanna-Barbera? I don't think so, because it was a comic before.
Is it not the same?
No.
Casper isn't a part of this gang?
No.
So it isn't like the Boo Brothers and then they have a little guy named Casper?
No.
So they're completely different properties?
Yeah.
Okay, that's my mistake.
But I think also it's from a long time ago. Like, even my mom as a kid in the, like, 60s dressed up as a Casper ghost. So it's an old property. This movie's from the 80s, right?
Yeah.
So I think they're probably a knockoff.
That's just so strange that, like, in the Casper cinematic universe, there are also 3 ghosts that fit this description of, like, they're the exact same characters with different names. That's really strange.
Yeah, they do feel very similar, but I think they are the copies.
Anyway, I had lots of questions going in, and some of them were answered. Apparently they're orphans, so... in a room full of family, they are orphans.
Yep.
I found that funny. But anyway, let's get back into the actual plot of this movie. Right off the top, this movie is all over the Civil War. It's talking about Confederate soldiers. They're on a plantation. There are literal, by definition, hillbillies running around. And we just want to say, on the top, humans should know humans. This was a really weird time. And I think it doesn't age well that this isn't a Scooby-Doo movie. It's funny because the Shaggy's uncle, Beaureguard, who is like the main ghost and who owns the haunted castle.
And who we're supposed to be cheering for.
He also looks like the Confederate soldier from the 1998 Scooby-Doo at Zombie Island. Because Velma sees his ghost in the mirror.
Yeah.
And he's the guy at the end that goes, "Thank y'all."
My God.
Right? So I don't know if that was also a nod to this film, that they put the exact same character in that movie, but that movie also doesn't age well. The fact that they're in Louisiana on the bayou at a pepper plantation talking about the Confederacy.
There's a lot of plantations in these Scooby movies.
And a lot of shooting, which we'll get to. This movie did not age well, period. I don't think... If you're of the faint of heart, I wouldn't watch this. Or you'll have a lot of questions. Like, I'm sure kids in the 90s were just like, this is so funny. Like, look at all the gun violence.
Yeah, or 80s, because I feel like it was a very 80s thing. Just like every property would have like randomly guns. They'd be like, here's a toy with a gun.
Yeah,
like,
we'll go scene by scene, but there are a lot of just plain old shootouts in this movie.
Yeah, several
it's
guns.
Just
Everyone has a gun.
Everybody has a gun.
The ghost has a gun.
The ghosts have guns. Everybody got guns.
A pistol.
America.
Yep.
It's definitely America. Anyway, the directors of this film, it was directed by Paul Sommer. He is well known for also working on a pub named Scooby-Doo. It was also, story director was Hanna-Barbera. Hanna-Barb, I wrote.
Yeah.
Written by Jim Ryan. Directors. Paul Sommer. He worked on a pub named Scooby-Doo. He was also a story director for Hanna-Barbera at the time.
Oh.
Yes, okay. Another director for this movie. So there were 3 directors. The second one was Carl Urbano. He also worked on Tom and Jerry, The Addams Family, The Smurfs, and also a pup named Scooby-Doo. So he worked on all 4 of those. Another third director of this movie was Ray Patterson. He played Lionel in Full House. Don't know who that is, but apparently he's a character who came up on his IMDb. And he was in 146 episodes of Dukes of Hazzard. So this guy acts a lot, but I don't know, he also helped direct this movie, which makes sense because this movie felt very disjointed. There were a lot of A plots, B plots, C plots, D plots, E plots.
Oh my god, a gorilla.
The gorilla. Anyway.
Nobody knows what that's about.
We'll get to it. We'll get to it. Of course, starring Don Messick as Scooby and Scrappy-Doo, Casey Kasem as Shaggy. And yeah, again, as far as Mr. Beauregard, we're going to call him Uncle Beauregard, or just like the bad guy.
The uncle.
The uncle, yeah. We don't need to say anything else about the Civil War. We're just going to like gloss over it. It's not a part of this movie. I don't know why it's a part of this movie. I guess because that's the people that were dying at the time. We're just Confederate soldiers.
Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, we won't speculate.
So 1987? Was that like much earlier than that, though? Or maybe it wasn't.
It was the early... Oh my god.
Yeah, I don't know the year.
But if he was a soldier, he would have been like dying in the 80s. If that makes sense.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah. But okay.
We don't know our history, so sorry.
Well, we don't know our American history.
Yeah.
I can tell you so much about the fur trade.
Oh god.
Okay. Do you wanna talk about how this movie opens?
Very fast. They just skip a bunch of stuff, and then the title comes.
Well, it starts with a song.
And a woman.
A witch. And I was super excited because it was giving Oogie Spooky. It was giving, like, classic Halloween. I said in the last movie, what I didn't like about it is that it didn't feel like a Scooby-Doo, because I wanted the haunted castle, I wanted the mystery. This delivered all of that. Mm-hmm. Like, we got our haunted house, we got a mystery, we got bad guys, which felt right. Mm-hmm. So, when this opens up, it's a beautiful, like, windy autumn landscape of a letter flying through the wind, and it slips into the bedroom window of Shaggy and Scooby. Mm-hmm. And suddenly this, like, terrifying witch's ghost just starts, like... It's like a poem, but it's almost like a spell. And she's, like, warning them through the letter, like... Ah! Yeah, so then... Scooby and Shaggy jump in the car... And then Scooby runs back into the house, and this is when I knew I was going to love this movie. He comes out bearing a very tiny Scrappy-Doo in a little blue blanket, and he's still asleep, and I was like, oh my god, that is the cutest thing I've ever seen.
I like how also it's like, it's a Scooby-Doo and Shaggy movie. Joke's on you, we're going to have Scrappy in it too.
I know. Is Scrappy even on the front of the box? He's not. I didn't know Scrappy was in this film, but he's like a great part of this movie.
Yeah, he's the only one who's smart.
Yeah, we'll get to that. And then after that, I see Scrappy swaddled in a blanket, and then we get a title card, and then there's an opening song. It's called "Very Spooky, Very Ooky Boo Bros." I guess.
Is that the official name of it?
She says that, like, very spooky, very ooky boo brothers.
Yeah, and we don't see them until later.
Yeah.
So it's like, who?
I would call the Boo Brothers the C plot.
Yeah, they were not a B or an A at all.
They were like an afterthought. It felt like they felt like the filler, considering that Scooby-Doo meets the... Well, I guess they do meet.
Yeah, because I feel like... What were they going to call it? Scooby-Doo and the Confederate Ghosts? Like... like, I feel like they came up with the movie and all these weird little plots, and then they came up with the name after. Because maybe as a TV movie, they had to come up with a name, and they didn't think they were going to at first.
It's like Scooby-Doo and the Racist Cousins.
Yeah, and it's like, oh my god.
So, Shaggy is in this really cool car. Mm-hmm. Also, Shaggy's in a red shirt, which I thought at first was his pajamas, but no. This is what he wears. He wears a red V-neck and blue jeans. Why?
Yeah, it's weird. The only time that really stood out to me was when... Because I did see this movie before, but I didn't really remember the red shirt. I think the next one has a red shirt also, but they do bring it up in the cyber chase.
Yeah, because they like harken back to like the old styles of the gang, and that's all I've ever known it from.
Yeah.
But also, I don't know. That's more their... In cyber chase, they're trying to go back to their 70s garb.
Yeah, so that's weird
ascots.
Because Shaggy hasn't actually changed from the 70s.
Yeah.
So they probably changed the red shirt because they want to make him look different.
And they gave Scooby a red collar for absolutely no reason.
Yeah, like he looks fine in this
Just
one.
to differentiate him. But yeah, they get into Shaggy's little... They call it a Jeep. It is a Jeep. It's like a green Jeep, and it has the spare tire on the back that has a red
brand name
SD.
Jeep?
I think they say the word Jeep. Like, oh no, Shaggy's Jeep.
Oh.
And then they go to, quote-unquote, the South.
Yeah, I'm like, no wonder Shaggy never talks about his family heritage, because I think there's a lot of deep problems there that...
And Scrappy literally says, and I quote, "Imagine inheriting a whole southern plantation."
Yeah, imagine.
Like,
how much blood is on their hands.
Were they aware of this? Like, were they aware of it?
Yeah, it's so weird.
It feels like... Well, first of all, Scrappy's the voice of reason in this movie. Like, he's given as much as like he can, and everything's just happening around him. I would say that Scrappy-Doo is the star of this movie. Mm-hmm. The fact that it doesn't say Scooby-Doo meets Scrappy on the cover. Yeah. So they get stuck in the mud.
Yeah, and Scooby can drive stick.
Scooby can drive stick. Shaggy's pushing, and a gorilla. It's called the D plot of a gorilla helps them out of the mud. And is it on their radio that we hear that a monkey has escaped from the zoo?
Or is it the police radio?
Maybe the police radio later.
Yeah, because a policeman's in there. He's not doing much.
So then, as they're getting out of the mud, the Colonel, who we later find out is Uncle Beauregard, on a big wheel bicycle, rides past them. And they're just going down this dirt road, and there is a headless horseman. Is the skeleton there yet?
There's a skeleton, but...
I think the witch flies by. We do see the witch at some point.
Do we? Oh, yeah.
We see the girl who sang the incantation.
The theme.
They go by a graveyard, and... Okay. They pull up on this old house, and we find out that Shaggy has inherited this, like, dilapidated mansion. Mm-hmm. But it comes with a live-in servant who is named Farquaad, which I'll never forget because of Lord Farquaad. But do you want to explain who this man looks like?
Oh, yeah, we saw him, and at first I remembered him looking like Quasimodo. I was like, yeah, it was Quasimodo. No, he did not look like Quasimodo. He looked like Elton John.
He looks like Elton John.
It's weird.
So we're going to refer to Farquaad as Elton John for the rest. We were watching it, and then Brad was just like, that's Elton John.
Yep.
Yeah, he is. It's just the hair, the face, the glasses. I think it's the glasses.
So
the
it's
voice.
Like the plantation, the Confederate ghosts, Elton John is a butler. I wonder what the motives of these directors were. Like, it feels like choices had to be made.
This movie has a strong start. Maybe?
Maybe. It was very confusing. It was like character, another character. Who's this? Why is there a monkey? Like, what's going on?
Why is there a monkey? Okay, so then there's like talks of what everyone's calling it, the family jewels, and they refer to it as the family jewels the entire movie. That has to be something put in for adults because that is freaking hilarious. And we find out that Beauregard has left Shaggy, and in turn Scooby-Doo and Scrappy-Doo, his entire fortune. And Elton John's not happy. Because Elton John's like, I waited on this guy hand and foot. We've never even met you guys. Your uncle didn't know you. I wanted him to leave me the money.
I mean, very valid point.
And, well, he's given a lot of motive. Mm-hmm. I think right off the bat, you're like, what is this guy's deal?
Mm-hmm. Well, doesn't always like run his hands.
He's a freaking creep. Like, he is a weird dude. But, yeah.
Oh, and when they find out about it, it's so funny. Immediately, Scrappy just wants the cash. Scrappy's in it for the money. That's all he wants.
Yeah, he's the voice of reason. Scrappy-Doo's the straight man.
Yeah.
Like, they wrote Scrappy-Doo in this movie as the straight man. Like, he's the only one that knows how to use his head. Mm-hmm. And then, he's the only one helping do anything.
Mm-hmm. He's Scooby doing it. Scooby doing all the work.
So then Scrappy picks up this diamond ring with a B on it. And it's sitting in the corner. And then on the inside it says, for my nephew Shaggy. So then this is where, like, the whole plot of the movie sort of unravels. because this is where we realize that we're going on like a scavenger hunt for these clues.
Mm-hmm.
So at some point, something happens where someone gets scared. So then they're like new to town, and for some reason the sheriff comes and he's just like, who are you? Have you seen a monkey? Do you know what's happening? I have a ring. What's going on? And so then they go into like the office. There's a pet, a stuffed monkey. There's this. It's a gorilla. It's a gigantic blue gorilla.
Is it an office or like a games room? Because I feel like that's where they.
Oh, that would make more sense.
Yeah, that's where they have all like the dead stuffed animals.
It's like heads
more fun, more fun in Shaggy's family.
There was definitely like a theme of,
Shaggy's problematic
gun violence. I don't know. What do you think, Shaggy wanted out of this? Because we knew he didn't want the money.
Yeah, it's strange because at the beginning with the weird hag witch person, they like scared them into leaving, and there was a note, and then they went to go to the house, and like several times she's like, not worth it, let's leave. Oh gosh, creepy things, let's leave. Oh no, the car's sinking, like can't go anywhere. So he doesn't want to be there, but he's there, and he drove there. I don't know why either. And it's like, even with the money, he was like, I don't want any part of this, it's creepy, it's gross, and then...
He's very passive. He doesn't want the house, he doesn't want the scares, he doesn't want the money. But then they're, like, on the hunt because they don't want Elton John to get it.
Yeah.
Basically.
Pretty much.
So they find the first clue. At that point, it's the ring is the only thing they found, and there's a piece of paper. And we end up meeting the next door neighbors, which I don't think I want to get into the neighbors. It was...
just adding to the fuel to the fire. Billy Bob.
His name is Billy Bob. I don't think hillbilly is like the appropriate term. I don't think it's very progressive. Mm-hmm. Neither is redneck. They are southern bumpkins, country bumpkin folk named Billy Bob, and I don't know what his sister's name was, but she was literally this spitting image of Ellie Mae from the Beverly Hillbillies.
Yeah, that was a popular show. Even by then, like 1987, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was from a bit earlier than that, right?
It was like 30 years old at that point.
Oh, okay.
But Ellie Mae is like this beautiful blonde bimbo, but she's super duper strong, and she's Ellie Mae's not boy crazy. This girl, we're gonna call her Ellie Mae, obsessed with Shaggy.
Yeah, and it's funny how they seem to do that quite often. They'll have like the pretty girl who likes Shaggy, and he has no interest in it, and it's like, Is he ace?
Is he asexual?
Is he gay?
I don't think Shaggy like cares about
anything but food.
Well, in Alien Invaders, he likes Crystal.
And in the first movie,
Mary Jane,
our favorite actress,
Isla Fisher.
Yes, I love Fisher. There we go.
I love Fisher. The thing with this neighbor is she comes over and she introduces herself, and there's a whole bunch of commotion because the sheriff's looking for, like, everyone's just in the foyer. We got Elton John. We got the sheriff.
It's the States would call it the foyer.
Foyer. We got Ellie Mae. And Ellie Mae is like, you must be the new Beaureguard. Oh, you're so sweet. Give me a kiss. And she is truly too much. Like, whoever wrote that poor girl...
I know. I felt bad for her. I'm like, take your passion and find someone who will give it back to you. Come on.
And yeah. So Ellie Mae has a brother named Billy Bob. And Billy Bob comes over and he has a gun on him, a very large, like, rifle type, very old fashioned gun.
It's like a shotgun?
It's a shotgun.
Something. Or what do they call the gun? The ones that have like the big...
A musket?
Musket?
A biscuit?
A biscuit, yes.
He has a giant biscuit.
Weaponized biscuit.
Weaponized biscuit. And he comes over and he goes, the Beauregards. And then we think that he's going to be kind because his sister's nice. And he's like, I've been trying to exterminate y'all folk forever. So this entire movie from this point on, anytime Billy Bob's on screen, he's trying to K-word Shaggy Rogers.
But then again, it's like... So he doesn't like the Beauregards, and we're supposed to like the Beauregards, but we know what we know about their history, so we don't really like the Beauregards.
No. Unless
so maybe he's good after all.
Unless he was a Confederate soldier. Well, no, he was part of the Confederacy.
Yeah, so maybe...
Shoot.
Maybe Billy Bob's actually the true hero of the story.
Yeah, Billy Bob wants to free everybody. I don't want to talk about the Civil War. Okay.
Scooby-Doo wants you to talk about
Scooby-Doo wants me to talk about slavery. No, recognizing that this movie is outdated is a part of, I think,
the progression and the
the
history.
progression and the history. Like, we can absolutely look at this movie and say that this is super outdated and this shouldn't be, not that it shouldn't be talked about, but it also shouldn't be
a fun little
there's
gag.
no humor. Yeah,
Yeah.
there shouldn't be humor.
Mm-hmm.
Just full stop. So, again, we'll try to keep off of that. But it's so intertwined into this movie.
Also, too, it's very, like, again, not to get too much into, like, the whole everything about it, but it's, like, it's interesting. It feels like how I imagine a lot of kids growing up weren't told too much about the whole story or, like, the full picture. They're just told,
Yeah.
like, a very glamorized, like, oh, yeah, it was, like, a big war, and then we did this, and, like, we were fighting this other side, and it's, like, they don't really talk about what the other side is.
Yeah.
They don't really talk about what people are fighting over. So it's very much like that in this one. Like, they don't talk about why.
Yeah.
They're just like, oh, yeah, he was, like, a very powerful person who was part of a war, and then they just happen to list the war, but they don't talk much about it. Just that, like, he has the look, he has the history, but not getting into it.
It's like Grandpa fought in a war. We love Grandpa. Shut up.
Pretty much, that's what it feels like.
Oh yeah, you also mentioned that Ellie Mae looked like the top copper tone girl.
She did. Oh my god.
Yeah.
I feel like that's her when she's older.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
The copper tone girl is a redneck.
Oh no.
Okay, so
Country
then
bumpkin.
at some point we go to a freezer. There's a diamond in the freezer. There's a note. It says go outside and a hose with it. There outside there's a hose with its knee out. I think I started writing down the riddles and then didn't give the answers for some of them. So again,
Chimney. I don't remember what is that.
oh, chimney. Is it chimney?
Yeah. That when I first watched this as a kid, that was the only clue I remembered.
The chimney.
Yeah.
A hose with its knee out.
Also, I think we skipped this part, but Shaggy in his pajamas. He's got stuff sticking out. You can see his full bare ass.
When?
He's wearing his nightgown.
We haven't called the Boo Brothers yet.
We haven't? I thought we did.
No, I don't have the Boo Brothers yet. The Boo Brothers are later.
Well, he's talking about the hillbilly right here, so this is before.
I swear he
We should
called
put
the Boo
timestamps
Brothers.
now.
Oh my gosh.
Just have like the digital timer on the screen. Find out how to do that.
So they call the Boo Brothers before they go on the hunt?
Yeah, because they have ghosts.
Okay. They keep trying to be sabotaged, so at some point they're going to bed for the night in their brand new haunted house, and Shaggy's wearing a nightgown, and we do see Shaggy's little butt
Perfect.
all the way up, and
It's of interest to us, for sure.
like there's creaks, there's moans, there's like, oh, this is the first time we see Uncle Beauregard on the big wheel.
Oh yeah, he's riding this bicycle, which feels...
It's a big wheel bicycle. It's like one of those old-fashioned ones with a gigantic wheel. And just imagine, like, a little colonel going in circles on a big wheel, and I couldn't stop laughing.
Yeah, because this gigantic bicycle makes him look like a small old man
He looks
child.
like, old man child. This Baby Yoda. Like, and there's, like, a point where Shaggy's like, I've had enough. He opens up the yellow pages. He finds the Boo Brothers. He calls them, and he's like, I need an exterminator, please. And so all three of the brothers come through the telephone, and they're instantly in the movie.
The fun gag of the Ghostbusters.
That too. I swear I took notes about all that. I think it's later.
Yeah.
So much shooting. I just write so much shooting.
So much shooting.
You're right. Maybe it is later because I have like all of the notes for the rest of the like clues and stuff.
Yeah.
We watched the beginning of this movie over a week ago, so I'm so sorry.
Yeah, because I have right here, before we meet the Country Bumpkins, that they were definitely, like, I think they were going to bed the night before.
Yeah.
And then it was the morning after that they first meet them. Because I think they first were like, we have a problem with ghosts. There's, like, creepy Confederate ghost, skeleton ghost, headless horseman, the witch, but I guess we don't talk about her anymore because she never shows up again.
I know. I really wanted the witch's ghost to be there.
Didn't they think the gorilla was a ghost at one point?
A lot of plots.
I don't think anyone explains.
There were a lot of plots. I think we should just go through all of the clues.
The gorilla was just there to like move things along.
Yeah.
It doesn't do anything else.
Okay, so we find a diamond in the freezer. We find the house with its knee out. We go to the chimney. I wrote down that at one point Scrappy gets down on all fours, and I have never seen Scrappy on all fours because he walks on two hind legs, and it was a very funny animation.
Oh, some of those, if you pause, his face looks very funny in some moments.
Yeah. Oh, this movie, the animation. Do you want to get into it?
Yeah, the animation was interesting. I think in the last one, there was definitely a sequence I remember where it was well done. Like, whoever did that one was definitely putting a lot more effort than they're probably being paid for. But this one was weird. It was like, I think probably because there's too many characters, and maybe it was also like the crew from the TV show, so they have a very tight deadline.
Also maybe because there were 3 directors.
Maybe, yeah.
That might have been also a problem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was very, well, also too, there was like model sheets that they would follow, but it's not like current animation where there's a rig that you have to pose out. This one's like you just draw everything from scratch.
Yeah.
So I'm sure there are some people who were probably working on it and were just like, well, I'll just kind of follow along with the person did before me, not realizing it's looking off model.
Yeah. As you know, if you watch the first episode, Brad is an animator by trade, and so for all animation expertise and characteristics of this movie,
yeah.
how do you think it holds up to even the cartoon? Because again, we're looking at feature-length territory. Do you think this was like less good
Than the first one?
than the show?
Oh, it's interesting because the show, this was from 1987, which I keep bringing up, because I think that, when was a pup named Scooby-Doo? Was it 89?
Yeah, very late 80s.
Yeah, because that would have been around the same time. And that one feels like a different shift. This one still feels very like the 70s.
Yeah, it feels 69. It feels like they hadn't progressed in almost 20 years.
Yeah, because I noticed for I have to watch it again in full detail, but I remember the first show when I saw it, it was very, the characters would have like a key pose where they would do a certain stand, like even all the merchandise, like they still have that classic, like Daphne with her hands on her hip,
Yeah.
Velma with her hand behind her back and her hand up, and like Shaggy and Scooby just kind of looking awkward. So I find like in the first show they would have a lot of the characters stand in those poses, but when they move, it's like recycled animation.
Mm-hmm.
This one doesn't feel like that. So it's like the quality was a little bit lower, but they did have more movement and more poses that were made specifically for their different scenes. It didn't feel like they were
recycling.
Yeah, and it didn't feel like they were trying to be economic. Like they would be like, okay, we're gonna do this kind of action, but we're gonna force it to match this recycled and traced over pose.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, because Hanna-Barbera in general was pretty much a pioneer for making those reuses, which a little bit of history was great for saving animation as a medium because it was getting too expensive. Like Disney made great quality, but that was too expensive for TV. So Hanna-Barbera kind of had this idea to like recycle them. Even the designs of the characters, like their collars, even like Scooby-Doo's collar, would cut their head off so they can just have the body stand still and their head would be animated.
Yeah.
It's like little tricks and stuff around that they would do to kind of keep the costs down. So I feel like with this movie, they definitely wanted to keep the costs down, and they probably just treated it like a extra long episode, or maybe like 3 episodes attached.
Which, I can't wait until they stop doing that.
Yeah.
Because this felt like there are a lot of like plots along the way that they're trying to keep up with. One of the longest running plots of this movie is the fact that they keep finding these letters, and they're basically on like a clue hunt. So it's like, solve a riddle, go to the place, shenanigans happens, we find a jewel, and then repeat. And it happens so many times.
Yeah, and it's very weird. Like, at first it seems like, oh, that's smart. Like, the chimney one, that's the one I remember the most. And then eventually it just gets to the point where it's like, okay, like, how many of these do they hash out, and why are they trying to keep all of them? Like, it would have been more fun if they maybe, like, found a clue and read it, and then took, like, a breather as they figured it out, instead of just Scrappy, like, immediately knowing the answer.
Well, that's another thing, is Scrappy in this movie is so smart.
A little too smart. I feel like he's probably behind it.
Really?
Yeah.
So, I have not watched a lot of actual Scrappy-Doo, like, films, TV episodes, like, nothing with Scrappy, but I know, like, the memes of Scrappy being, like, really annoying. I thought he was adorable in this film.
Mm-hmm.
I thought he was so freaking cute, and he was so smart, and I was just like, oh, look at you using your brain. No one else knows how to do that.
Yeah.
Like, there was a part where they were talking, we'll get to it, they go up to the attic, and Scrappy was like, it's just like it's written. You have to go to attic. Attic. It's the attic. And I was like, oh my god, I didn't even get that. Like, it took Scrappy-Doo, like, phonetically saying it over and over again to me to be like, oh, the attic.
Yeah.
I don't know. It felt like he always knew what was going on and no one else did.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, guys, come on.
I also agree. I don't really see how he was so annoying, but I feel like that was probably part of it. Like, maybe him knowing everything and the others just being there was probably what people found starting to find annoying.
It wasn't like he was a know-it-all.
I think, like, eventually he probably was.
Maybe eventually. Maybe in different movies or different episodes.
Yeah, he's fine in this one.
But in this one, it's not like he's like, you guys are stupid, I know everything.
Mm-hmm.
Which he is in a live-action movie.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, you don't have the scrote for this job. Like, I am clearly the smartest person here, and I'm a dog.
Well, that one's making fun of, like playfully making
tropes,
fun of...
yeah,
the
which
tropes
is how
and
it ended up being the villain, which I think is still my favorite part of that movie, is Scrappy
That's
being
brilliant.
the villain. It's incredible.
That's brilliant.
Spoilers!
Oops.
Okay. So, let's start getting into the actual plot of this movie, because there is a lot of plot. So, they end up on the roof. There's a skeleton man who tries to take the jewels. He falls off the roof. Again, more shenanigans. There's another letter. They end up at the piano. They, like, hit a key. They get another jewel. Mm-hmm. It's just, like, it's a lot of running around. Every other line here, it says shooting. So much shooting. There's people shooting everybody.
Oh my god, yeah, and Billy Bob shoots the police. He says, F the police.
Literally.
He's the hero of the story.
We cannot say that Billy Bob was the good guy in this movie. I don't know. Okay, so we find out that Elton John wants the diamond.
Doesn't he take one at one point?
He dognaps Scrappy.
And he, like, drops a jewel right in his pocket.
And then Scrappy gets it back, and then Shaggy's like, Scrappy, where'd you get that? And he goes, it fell out of that guy's old pocket. Like, it's very, there's no consequences. It'll be like something terrible happens and it fades to black and then it's immediately resolved in the next 5 seconds. So like it's like this big, like, the Elton John steals Scrappy-Doo and it fades to black and then it's like, put me down! And he goes, oh, and he puts him down. Like, there's no, like, stakes. Rakes?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like Scrappy was taking on the role of Daphne there when he got kidnapped, dognapped.
Okay, so at this point I wrote Elton John wants diamond, and then attic, the attic, Scrappy is a genius.
I mean, compared to the others, he's God. His brain in that form.
So then, when we're up in the attic, I wrote this down specifically because it ends up not being Billy Bob. But the Headless Horseman, I don't know if it's a Headless Horseman or the Skeleton Ghost. There's a lot of things running around this movie. They're up in the attic, and he said something, and it's Billy Bob's voice. It's absolutely Billy Bob's voice actor.
Oh.
So I wrote down, Billy Bob voice took the necklace.
His voice just took it.
So I thought that was going to be a plot point, which it ended up not being. Like, it wasn't Billy Bob.
Yeah, and, like, also, this poor butler is probably never paid in his 60 years of service. Which, like, how old is he? He says he's working there for 60 years. So it's like, no wonder he's desperate for the diamonds. Like, Shaggy couldn't have just been like, oh, did my uncle not pay you? Like, here, take a necklace or something. Like, go buy yourself something nice.
And that's the thing, is at one point he does try to steal a necklace, and he has a necklace, and I'm like, guys, you're after so much treasure. If this poor man wants a diamond ruby necklace to sell for, like, back then, what, $100,000 in 1989? Like,
yeah.
Let him have it, guys. And what they do with the money later,
it's like it never happened.
Like, the butler didn't even get it. You could have at least paid the butler.
Yeah, true.
Like, you're getting, like, little things along the way. Like, sure, put it aside. You're about to hit the mother lode. You're about to get the jackpot, like the treasure of all treasures, and you
literally the casino.
You can't let this poor man have a ring for his Elton John finger.
Yeah.
So then we end up in a cellar. that we call the ham room. Is that where you're at as well?
Yeah, they're a bunch of hams.
They're a bunch of hams, and Scooby actually says, nothing here but us hams. There's a lot of...
I like Shaggy's comeback. He's like, no, it looks more like a chicken.
Looks like a bunch of chickens to me. Again, there's just lots of shenanigans. Like, I can't for the life of me remember which villain was in which part of the house, but you're under the impression that they're like magical because they're getting around really quick. But we find out after this point, because when they're in the ham room, the next clue, and next clue is about a headstone, but I have it in quotes again because Scrappy again says, the next clue is about the family jewels. They kept calling it the family jewels.
It's not even the family treasure, just the jewels.
It's the family jewels.
The 2 jewels you can fit in your hand.
Listen here. So then they end up out at the graveyard, and they're looking at headstones, and they're moving.
And they find one that's shaped like a head.
And they find one that's a bust of Beaureguard. So then we're like, look under the hat. And they look under the hat, and there's more jewels. And then it like...
Beaureguard's right there, behind his own headstone.
I think it was the skeleton.
No.
Was it Beaureguard?
Yeah. He's just like right there behind his own headstone, just like, get on my property, kneel.
Yeah, he's like, I want my jewels back. I want my family jewels back.
Which is also so weird, because I feel like they're probably meant to like make the kids be like, if he's the one who gave Shaggy all the money, why is he wanting it back?
Which they never ask.
Yeah.
They're like, if my uncle left me all this, why would he want it back?
Mm-hmm. I mean, when that horse comes up, that answers some questions.
Yep.
Yeah, throughout their shenanigans, when they find the mechanical horse, and then it does, funny little gags, goes around. I don't get the mechanical horse thing. Maybe that's what killed the uncle, if he's at his age trying to ride that.
So we're led to believe that at the beginning of the movie, they're being chased down the road by this headless horseman with like a pumpkin head in his lap. He's on this horse. And then, is the Headless Horseman not, again, featured in the house?
When the Headless Horseman showed up in the second half, maybe because we watched the first bit a week earlier, I forgot about the Headless Horseman.
It's a good thing they showed a flashback.
Yeah.
Shaggy's like, that's the guy that chased us into town!
Yeah, because, if kids are watching this with commercials on TV, I don't think they're going to remember either.
So, they go from the graveyard... Under Beauregard's hat, they go to a barn to hide. A stable?
Yeah.
And they open it, and there's like a horse there, and it's completely frozen. They're like, oh, it's animatronic.
Yeah.
So, Ellie Mae comes back. Again, there's just, between every single clue, it's just hillbillies and monsters. And an ape.
Country bumpkins.
I don't know if that's better.
We don't know. If you identify, please let us know.
I don't want to say Southern folk.
No, because that would generalize.
That's okay.
Yeah.
The neighbors. The neighbors come over, and she's like, Shaggy, give me a kiss. And then her brother's like, I'm going to get you, Beauregard. I'm going to exterminate your line. So, at some point, Scooby ends up on the horse, and he
With a good old-fashioned lever to make it start.
Yeah, and then the sheriff gets chased into the bayou.
And he's like, turn the horse off.
And he's like, turn it off! And then he falls into the water, and the first thing Scrappy or Shaggy asks is, how did he know it was a mechanical horse?
Yeah, which I just said before you said that, because you were watching, I was like, how do you know that? Thinking, there's so many...
Plot holes.
I was like, oh my god, are they for another thing? And then Shaggy pointed out, I was like, oh, I feel bamboozled. He also noticed it for once.
He also noticed. It was a clue. It was another one of those, Velma going, that's fishy.
Which is so weird, because I feel like they could have shown, instead of just saying it, they could have shown some other, sketchy activity going on and being like, as an audience member, how did this happen? Rather than just being like, turn the thing I shouldn't know about off. It feels very last minute, oh shoot, we don't know how these people know each other.
So at this current point in the story, I was under the impression that every person we've met so far is in on it. Because I was counting ghosts, and I was counting odd characters. And so we have the sheriff, Billy Bob, the sister, if she's in on it, and Elton John. And there's 4 ghosts and monsters.
honestly, I was at this point in the impression that I was going to be like a random character we've never seen before who's like, who are you? And he's like, I actually lived here all this time.
Yeah.
I was just in the basement. You didn't notice me. I did not think it was anyone at that point. So many new characters were showing up. I thought it was just going to be some rando who like we never seen before.
Well, and speaking of characters, like the Boo Brothers do nothing in this movie.
Oh yeah, I think that's part of the humor is like they can't do anything right, but also it's like just make them do something useful.
Like at the end, they do help them get home because they're in the sinking boat.
Yeah.
That they end up in a boathouse. They find another jewel. That's one of the last clues.
Mm-hmm.
And the skeleton has now taken the final clue and has gone back to the house to go to the fireplace.
Mm-hmm. Where it all started at the beginning.
Where it all started. The first clue was in the chimney.
Which is funny. It's like, go to the chimney. Go all around the property, find these things. Okay, it's in the fireplace.
Yeah.
With the gigantic handle right there on it, too.
He literally looks at the fireplace and goes, there must be a handle here somewhere.
A lever.
And there is a full, it's like a Krabby Patty spatula, like a SpongeBob spatula handle lever.
It's a
that he
slot
pulls,
machine.
And it's a slot machine.
Yeah, and it's like, what does this gigantic lever on the fireplace do? Pulls it down. Right there in the center of the living room, when you first open the front doors, you see it. It's like, oh, how did nobody bother to pull? It wasn't even like a smart, like, type in the code or like press these buttons.
Even if,
even
if he had like pushed a part of the molding and it went click, and then it could happen. But the fact that it was a full lever on the facade of the fireplace, it didn't even look like a sconce.
Yeah, in
it
plain
could have
sight.
been a candle holder.
Yeah. So it was always there, always obvious. Like, even pressing the broken piano key and opening this little door felt more thought out than
this
that.
This movie was cute. Like, it was smart. Some of the clues were really good, and every time Scrappy would solve one, I'm like, oh my god, Scrappy's such a genius. Like, how did he get these?
Like, the pun-based clues were fun.
Yeah. Attic. It's the attic. And I was like, what?
And there's like a horse and buggy at some point, but I forgot what the clue was.
Yeah, so we're back at the house, and the treasure comes out of the fireplace, and that is how Ghosty is captured.
Mm-hmm.
So he pulls the lever on himself, all of this gold and jewels come through, just as the Boo Brothers are bringing Shaggy and Scooby and Scrappy back into the living room. So we've all cultivated, this is now the mask-off opportunity. But another plot point we have to mention is that right before they go after the last clue, Shaggy's like, I've had enough of this. So he calls the sheriff's department. He goes, Sheriff, please, you have to get down here. We've discovered something. And then he's like, do you have a cold? You sound different. Oh. And then as he's talking and he's about to give the address, someone unplugs the phone from the wall because it's the 80s.
Yeah.
And we find out who comes a knocking on the door.
The twin brother.
The twin brother of the sheriff.
Which is like a mustache covering his face.
He was the exact same character with just a mustache. So we find out that the guy that we've been calling the sheriff, who's been running around getting shot at, getting trees fallen on, getting his pants blown off, is the sheriff's twin brother who constantly steals his badge and his car.
And, like, gets into disguises all the time, apparently.
And he's been trying to get this treasure forever.
Yeah, and it's like, that feels like they could have just been like, it's the sheriff, here he is, and then we would have been like, okay, that's fine, whatever. But this was like, guess what? He's actually been having, like,
it's his evil twin brother. They set up the movie so well, where it could have been the neighbors, it could have been Elton John. I feel like Elton John, the fact that he was like never paid, he was disgruntled, he thought that he should have gotten the treasure.
He's always like looking through the keyholes at that room.
And he was constantly stealing stuff. Like, he kept putting jewels in his pockets and being like, I got it.
Or him being like, I'm the only one who puts work in this house, I deserve this. And it's like, yeah.
Work into what house? That place was terrible.
It probably would have looked worse if he didn't. Like, I'm sure the roof would have
The only thing he ever did was grocery shop. He didn't do any maintenance on that house.
Did he grocery shop? The fridge was empty.
Because of the Boo Brothers. The Boo Brothers always ate the food.
No, was this before or after?
Before.
Yeah, because it was like they called them at night. It always looks like nighttime in this place.
When they're in the fridge, when they're in the icebox looking for ice cream. They find the first clue,
and that was after
the Boo Brothers are in the fridge.
Oh.
They just ate all the food.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So they called Boo Brothers right away. You're right. Okay. So the sheriff is a skeleton ghost.
The sheriff being the sheriff having a police brother fake feels like a cop out. I just want to say that
so much. And there are some bad cop outs later in the Scooby-Doo franchise. We'll get to him. We'll get to it. But my second last note is just Elton John is innocent.
Yeah, mine was like, was he not caught stealing jewels before? Like,
He was trying to steal them, but he wasn't the ghosts. He wasn't the monsters.
oh man, they're probably like, well, you know what? You're just creepy naturally. You weren't trying to scare us, so
That's so sad. He's like, listen here, you little creep.
grubby fingered. Creep
Well, and that's the
trying to
thing
steal
is he
things.
didn't ever end up even getting the money. At the end, there's like a throwaway line where it's like, "Hey, Shaggy, what did you do with the money?" And they started the Beaureguard Trust Fund for Orphans. So
They named it after the family. Was this on his mother's side? Is she a Southern belle?
the thing with Norval Shaggy Rogers is we know that he's wealthy.
Yeah, they
In
keep bringing it up.
every iteration of Scooby-Doo, Shaggy comes from money.
Which is always so funny, and he never wants anything to do with it.
No, he's a little hippie. He sleeps in a van. Like, he doesn't want the family fortune. So that, yeah, I'm sure that his parents are, like, back in their upper middle class, like, white columned, white carpet, like, McMansion.
They have the red
In
wine
middle
room and the
America.
white wine room.
Yeah. And then they probably have this rich uncle who was just super old.
Made money off the back of others, literally.
You know what? We're not going to talk about the plantation.
But
We're not going to talk about the plantation.
It would make sense why Shaggy absolutely hates his family and wants nothing to do with them. If he has morals. I mean, he is going back to this place, but...
Because even in Mr. Incorporated, they're like stuck-up guppies. Like, they're
Yeah.
all snooty, hoity-toity, and Shaggy goes to military school.
Yeah.
You know what?
Also, by the way, I remember learning that Shaggy is a beatnik, not a hippie. Eventually...
Beatnik, best pal, Shaggy Rogers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Apparently there's a difference. I don't know the main difference, but I think it's like beatniks are very, like, chill, slacker, just kind of like take it as it goes kind of a personality.
Oh, me. A beatnik.
Yeah, I think they also probably did drugs.
Okay, not me.
That was probably part of it. But I don't know the full story, but I remember it was like, I think just before hippies were like a big thing, there was beatniks, so maybe they morphed into hippies, but apparently there's a difference, and Shaggy started as a beatnik.
Maybe Shaggy's not a true hippie.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's very slacker coded
Mm-hmm.
in whatever iteration.
Mm-hmm.
Even in the 2010s live action TV movie, he's just like slacker energy.
Mm-hmm.
But okay, that was pretty much the plot.
If we can call it one.
it was a good mystery movie.
Mm-hmm.
I was definitely on the edge of my seat for some of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I liked all the riddles. I liked the hunt. I liked the mystery. I wish there was a little bit less.
Yeah,
Overall.
It would have been nice if it was a little more clear, but I feel like maybe because the TV shows were more simple and to the point, they wanted this one to feel beefed up.
Sometimes you need downtime.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes you need... Again, I'm going to harken back to, like, the 90s favorites, like, in The Witch's Ghost. Sometimes you need the scene where they go to the town diner,
Mm-hmm.
and they enjoy the food, and they're all just hanging out.
Yeah, those 90s ones had amazing pacing, and, like, they
Yes.
knew when to give and when to hold back.
Pacing issues. That is absolutely where we're going to land on this, is that they had pacing issues.
Yeah, and, like, we don't want to get too far ahead on the films, but I find it interesting how those ones feel like the first time they're like, why don't we take this seriously? Like, why don't we put effort into it?
And we'll get to that.
Yeah,
We
because
will get to that.
this one, again, it was like they had the TV show going on. That's the main thing. I don't even know, because you said the first movie from 79 was the 10th anniversary.
Yep.
I don't know why they decided to make another TV movie. Maybe they had...
8 years later.
Yeah, or maybe like the network wanted them to do something. I feel like it would make more sense if we knew why they decided to make another TV special, because then maybe it can let us know like what the limitations were and why they didn't go full in on it.
Well, there's a couple more of these before we start getting into the good stuff.
Yeah, maybe this was after the show, but before the other show.
Because this didn't feel experimental. This felt formulaic. The only thing that was missing, of course, was Mr. Incorporated, and I will say I had a big problem with it in the last movie that they weren't in it. This one, I was surprisingly fine with it.
Yeah, because it wasn't like... It didn't feel like we were missing them.
Yeah, this felt like it was Shaggy and Scooby's side quest.
Yeah, and like in this world too, Scrappy felt like he belonged.
He was the Velma.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't say that because like Velma, I feel like would have a different approach slightly. He seemed very like, oh, it's like a word puzzle. I know how to solve that. I feel like Velma would probably be like wanting to find evidence of things rather than making assumptions and like, let's go find out this thing.
True.
Whereas, how do you think that Daphne, Fred, and Velma would be if this was the situation they ended up in, other than Velma pointing out facts about the family history that nobody wants to know about?
Well, here's the thing. This, again, the whole plantation and the whole lost money thing, it felt very Zombie Island.
Mm-hmm.
So putting the gang here, we could have gotten rid of all the Billy Bobs and all the, like, the gun violence. Like, you could have taken out a lot of the, like, gags and brought in the gang, but it would have been much more of a grounded movie.
Mm-hmm.
A lot more, like, dialogue, a lot more of the gang being like, you're so stupid. No, you're stupid. Let's solve a mystery.
Yeah, because I feel like, especially in the earlier days, it was like the three others, like Velma, Daphne, and Fred.
If they're just laughing at Shaggy
Yeah,
and
but
Scooby.
they wouldn't believe in the ghosts. I feel like Scrappy is very, like, he'll believe in it,
Yeah.
but he just moves on from it. Like, he's like,
Yeah.
yeah, they're real, I don't care, let's get to the point.
He's
Like,
not affected by it.
yeah, so whereas, like, Velma would be like, oh, that's not real. Especially in, like, later iterations of her, she's very, like, like, she doesn't believe, except for the Loch Ness Monster, though. She believes in that.
I love that movie so much.
Yeah.
I love that film.
But it's like, otherwise, she's very, like, no, it's always a man in a mask. Same with the other two.
Yeah.
So I feel like the whole ghost situation, it probably would take more of the approach of the other three being like, it's not real. And then them finding out, like, oh, you're right, it's not real, but somehow the Boo Brothers are, and that's the mystery. Ooh. But this one was very, like...
That would be funny if the Boo Brothers were still here and then the whole gang was just like, what kind of hoax are you guys pulling here? What kind of money do you want? You're just after the treasure too. You're like everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that would be funny.
But yeah, that could have been something interesting to include for the Boo Brothers, like the whole dynamic between them being real and the others not being real. But in this case, it just felt like they were trying to, like, constantly hammer into our heads. See, the Boo Brothers can do ghost things. These other ghosts are literally screaming at them, like, it's a ghost. And it's like...
Just literally. Yeah, the Boo Brothers are the only real ghosts in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And they're just there for, like, gags. So, what would your rating be for this movie?
How many Scooby snacks out of 5 would you
5.
give this movie? Did we do 5 or 10 last time? I think we did 10.
Let's do 10.
Okay, 10 gives a bit more, like, room. I went to this movie not knowing anything about it. My only thought for the Boo Brothers was, again, what I've experienced through Casper, which apparently was no relation whatsoever.
We don't know her.
We don't know them. I am proud to say that I really liked this.
So out of 10 Scooby snacks, it would be...
I would give this a solid 6.
Oh.
It's on the up and up.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of moments I really liked. I liked the vibes. I liked the spook. I liked the mystery. Of course, looking back, it's aged terribly.
Mm-hmm.
But considering this is my first Scrappy-Doo encounter, besides live action, this is my first cartoon Scrappy property, I'm going to give Scrappy a 10. I think he was the star of this movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if people agree with that, but I think the little guy was adorable. I thought he was funny. Because, again, back in this era, like, he didn't have the gland disorder. Like, he was supposed to be a puppy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he was supposed to be Scooby's little nephew. And so, from the second that Scooby brought him out of that house, wrapped in a little, swaddled in a little blue blanket, like, we forgot Scrappy! I was in love with that kid. Like, it's so adorable. He's so smart, and he's not snarky about it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's not being like, you guys are idiots. Obviously,
Yeah, he's not
this.
condescending about it.
Yeah, he's not condescending. And I think he's really smart, and he's really talented and really cute. So
Yes.
I'm a Scrappy lover. I don't understand why people hate that little guy. Out of 10, what would you rate this movie?
I'd give it a solid 7. I feel like there was a plot, for sure. It was very drawn out. Like, if they just kept the plot parts and got rid of the unnecessary things,
It could have been an episode.
Yeah, it would have probably been shorter than an episode. But like you said, Scrappy was very cute in this. And I feel like even though the other gang members weren't there, they weren't missed. It wasn't like it needed them to work out. It probably would have been a different story with them. So I feel like that's good.
Yeah.
Because I feel like since, especially now, like a lot of people, including us, love the whole gang together. So I think it's rare to have a time when they're not there and it doesn't feel bad. Like, it feels fine.
Yeah, like I didn't need them.
Yeah.
Which I never thought I'd be able to say.
Yeah, which I think is hard to pull off, especially because it's like, you love Scooby-Doo for the characters, I find. So when not all the characters are there, it can be hard to pull off. And, this one had, like, its issues in terms of the story also, where it was a little too drawn out, but I feel like it was overall pretty solid, especially compared to the first one we had. That one was very... This one was like...
Scooby Goes Hollywood, I think, was special circumstances. It wasn't... Yeah. It wasn't advertised as a Scooby movie. Or it was advertised as a Scooby movie. It wasn't a Scooby-Doo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this one... I wonder if maybe this one... We have to probably look it up, but I wonder if this one was because the TV show has ended, and they didn't have another TV show yet, but they wanted to kind of, like, give something for Scooby-Doo.
Or they wanted to hard launch the Boo Brothers.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know. I didn't see that in my research.
They do feel like they were supposed to be characters, because Hanna-Barbera kept, like, spitting characters in shows and, like, characters with new shows.
Yeah.
All the time. I think at one point in time, maybe the 70s, they had, like... I can't remember the exact number, but I think it was, like, a good 60 or 70% of morning cartoons was Hanna-Barbera.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think in the 80s... there was, like, DiC, like DIC, and other, maybe Turner or something? I don't know. But, like, other cartoons were being made in the 80s. Like, He-Man and stuff like that. They were taking away from Hanna-Barbera's slice of the entire pie. So, maybe they were, like, learning at this point, like, oh, we can't just throw, like, any random character and expect kids to just, like, drool over the TV and love it.
Yeah.
They're probably realizing, no, we have to have, like, quality. So maybe that could have been a mixture of, like, they're like, Scooby-Doo exists, don't forget about him. Please. Like, even today, they still have to come out with these movies all the time, so they can, regardless of how good they are, so they can be like, Scooby-Doo exists, don't forget them until we make the next show. Don't forget about them.
And that's the thing, is Scooby-Doo, like, has proved to be eternal, and I think, like, they're only at the 50th anniversary. I can't imagine what they're going to do in the next 50 years to when they get to the 100th.
Mm-hmm.
But that was Scooby-Doo meets the Boo Brothers. We did it. Number 2 in the bag. Again, please let us know your opinions on this movie. Have you watched it recently? Mm-hmm. If you haven't, maybe give it a rewatch with a little bit of a new lens.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely...
Take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah, it's... Again, it's not for the faint of heart. If you have any sensitivity to gun violence, just don't watch it.
Yep. It's definitely not Scooby's finest moment.
No, he's adorable in it. But there are other movies to watch, and we'll get to them one at a time.
Mm-hmm.
So again, thank you for watching, and thank you for listening to the Scooby-Doo's Review Podcast, Episode 2, Scooby-Doo Meets the Boo Brothers. We'll be back next month. Again, we post the first Tuesday of every month. I'm so sorry, that's just all we can handle right now. And we'll be back with, I think, The Reluctant Werewolf?
Yeah.
Or Ghoul School.
Oh.
Oh my god.
I've seen them both. They're both good.
I have not seen either of them. I think I saw parts of Reluctant Werewolf. Is that the one with the racing?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
That one also feels like, let's introduce new properties. Ghoul School, though, I'm excited for that one. And I'm excited for your opinion. I feel like you'll be very hit or miss.
Well, let me see which one is next. It is...
Werewolf.
It is Reluctant Werewolf.
Yeah.
Werewolf and Ghoul School came out the same year.
Really? What year is that?
88.
Wow. And when was this one? 87?
Yeah.
Oh my god, how many did they make each year?
I think they were preparing for a pup named Scooby-Doo.
That makes sense.
Yep. So, next month, I keep saying next week, it's next month, Reluctant Werewolf. Thank you for watching.
Yes, thank you. Hope you have a good rest of the day.
Bye. We're waving. Y'all can't see it. The podcast can't see it. But if you want to, you can go check us out on YouTube at Scooby Sacred. You can also find us anywhere online at Tristan Sacred. All links in the bio. All links in the description. We're primarily TikTokers. Okay, goodbye. That was okay.
Yeah. Good job.